know, like, I think it's plainly obvious how the algorithms are built to stunt specific growth in specific communities. I think just today there was like a report put out saying that Facebook as a parent company doesn't deliberately try and minimize the voices of POCs, but it's a byproduct of their algorithm, which basically means the algorithm is programmed for the benefit of one specific group of people.
Right, yeah.
I see people using the N-word all the time on social media.
Yeah.
Writing it, saying it, sharing videos of other people saying it.
That's the Rittenhouse
and nobody gets banned.
Algorithm.
Nobody gets banned. But the second you write white person, like you can't even fucking spell WHITE.
Yeah.
You gotta put WHYT.
Yeah, it's YTE.
YTE?
Yeah, we've had to resort to using like.
Can you imagine the whole algorithm's rigged so that you cannot say white people?
And it's different because like we can't say that. Like because if a colored person says white person, then it's immediately like, oh no, stop that.
Yeah, and they actually pretty much admitted that the algorithm does do this. We don't know how though.
Interesting.
We don't know how to fix it either.
Stop talking.
What's going to happen with the meta when the meta comes? How's racism going to be in the metaverse, I wonder? You know? Like, how are they going to censor us in the fucking meta when we're walking around with our little android? I hate you, right? Like, what are you going to do? Have a little cartoon racism? Like, what's it going to be like?
Yeah.
Hey, it's interesting to think. This is a serious matter because everything's going to change with that metaverse as soon as everybody puts the goggles on. Like, the way you perceive.
But can I go on there and just like make myself whoever?
Yes.
Okay. That's the thing. So are they going to limit you to your specific profile pictures and what you look like, or are you going to just be able to freestyle it and come out like a unicorn?
I think you get to choose your thing.
Then I don't think that racism will be like that because...
Well, there'll be undercover people with, never mind body dysmorphia. It'll be like avatar dysmorphia disorder.
But like, okay, because there can be people like me who are like, I mean, I would never do this, but I just mean like there might be people who look like me who are like, I'm going to present as a white person and just like
go bust people.
Live freely and like...
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, right. Like, and
Were you from Ladner?
And then there's gonna be some white people who go on there and present as black and just like,
hey, so
all their fantasies.
Pop all of the N-words because that's what they've been waiting for.
Wow.
Full fantasies.
So crazy.
Yeah.
You know what's so nuts? We were just talking about today how you and me have been in a vehicle together, and if I'm not driving, I feel guilty as fuck lighting up a J. You don't give a fuck.
I don't give a single one, not a single F.
If I'm, and I know it's terrible. But Anderson .Paak has a song.
You're not driving.
Yeah.
What's that?
You said if you're not driving specifically.
Toking, I'm paranoid as fuck. Like not driving and toking.
Yeah.
I know you're not supposed to toke in the car, but I enjoy toking in the car.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those things.
It's a '90s thing.
Now here's the thing: if you were to see me stoned, you wouldn't know I was stoned. So it's not like it's detrimental to me as a person.
Yeah.
I'm justifying it like crazy, but I feel nervous as fuck. And I remember sitting with you in the car, and you're like, "Just fucking light it up." I'm like, I was looking around at cops and stuff.
Yeah, there's cops everywhere.
You don't have to even think about it.
I don't think about it.
And I had a conversation with a friend of mine that's white as well, and says she doesn't care. She'll smoke anywhere. She'll smoke driving on the highway, residential areas.
But you know what that is? That's privilege.
Oh, sure. Do you know why I do it? Because I know how to talk to police officers. That's
you know what? I'm going to tell you something, buddy. You think that's what it is. Because you both could say the exact same thing, and the outcome is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm gonna just say that I really know that.
But with that said, most traffic cops or like highway and all that shit are all brown guys out here.
It's getting there.
It is.
There's lots, but here's the problem, okay?
They're all designated to brown. All brown guys are here going out on the highway on speed duty.
But we're not saying it's not just white law enforcement that's racist. It's just law enforcement, period.
Yes, I think they run as a crew.
I will also raise my hand for that. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it is.
Yeah, because when you put that color on, well, I mean.
It is. I'll tell you why it is a race. It is a race thing, and it is racism because these are the folks who then prescribe to, right? Like they're people of color, whatever that color might be, whatever that background or ethnicity might be, and they insert themselves into an agency that was built on racism and then adopt those ideals, right? And at some point they already did, and whatever. I'm going to say the thing that I always say. I don't want to generalize. Not every single colored cop is like this.
Of course. And that's common sense. We shouldn't even have to say
exactly.
that.
However, I just know this to be true, that there are some colored folks out there who become police officers, and like they're just out there,
and they're just blue now.
Like
I know a guy Kai who became a Vancouver police officer, and he was a brown guy from Surrey, friend of mine, and he was like, dude, he went into the weight room on like his first week as a rookie, and he went in there, he's like on the bench press, right? One plate, you know, these guys are juiced to the max. And he was like, buddy, it's brown guys workout time, white guys workout time, Asian guys workout time. He goes, that's how it is. They roll like that. And he's like, it's such a gang mentality. He got bullied off of the bench press.
That's weird. That's gross.
I guess it's until they get in the field, then they're all the same color. Because I've never seen a video. Oh, sorry, I've seen one video of a cop being the aggressor in a situation and kicking the shit out of somebody, and another cop stopping it. I've only seen one video where that's happened, and a guy pulled the cop off, and then that guy afterwards, the guy that pulled the cop off ended up getting fired. But I've only seen it once. Code. So it's not about. It's not all of them. It's not about this, because in a sense, it really is all of them.
It's like a collective effort.
I have a family member that was just a normal brown guy, had a normal
regular
job.
Everyday guy,
everyday regular chill dude, and he all of a sudden got the itch to become a cop. And it started with so he became a cop and then wanted to enlist in the military.
That's how you do. When you fail to become a cop, you go to the military, then you become a cop.
And then he came back and now he's in SWAT, right? But the fucked up thing for me is like, so he went to Afghanistan. He served for like 6 months in Afghanistan. Crazy. And I remember it was an Eid. We only saw them on Eid. It was like once a year kind of thing. And we were chilling, talking about his deployment and stuff. And I'm like, I had to ask. I'm like, did you actually end anybody's life? And he was very forthcoming about it. He said, yeah. And then I said, can I ask you how many? He said, yeah, 3. And I said, okay, now, did all 3 of those people look like you? And he said, yeah, we're all the same skin color, but they're the enemy. Damn. And I'm like, what the fuck?
War's crazy, man.
You can't even rationalize at all the byproduct of your effect in that situation.
No.
Scary.
It is very scary.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that you have to make that choice, right? But that's where we're at now with this vaccination. We're doing the same things. You know, we're always being faced with like these military-style options that we have to make in life. It's crazy.
It's absurd. Yeah.
It's gone to the point now where every single week there's some military action of some kind happening, whether it's a weather phenomenon or it's like
shit,
right?
Yeah.
Or
More
it's
coming.
like somebody getting beat up on the street. You know, my friend lives in Oregon, where the Rittenhauser thing was. The kid, what's his name?
Rittenhouse,
right? He's in that. Rittenhauser. That sounded way more German. I want to make him super German. Rittenhauser.
Yeah, I'm sure he behaves like that. Yeah.
Gets off. He's expecting, shit's gonna go down. Not a peep happened. You know, and thank God, someone else's God. Thank someone else's God that nothing happened, right? But nothing happened. You know, that fucking sucked. The one time when people should have popped off should have been this fucking decision in the court. And it doesn't happen, dude. It's horrible, man. It's horrible.
I think there's too much. And now I think people are so far removed from the feeling of being angry about it because it's so blatant all the time.
Yeah. Actually, like you raised like an interesting point, and I think that's totally correct because like people are tired. Like everyone's just tired of repeating themselves and hitting their head against the wall, right? Yeah. And like I think it was like before the summer, right? My bro, he was talking about. I think he took to he took to Instagram to like talk about a racist experience he had in Ladner. There's multiple, so I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I'm pretty sure it was like he went to Starbucks in the morning and like these white people there didn't like how he parked his car and told him to go back to where he came from. Yeah. And
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Eh?
And then so he was talking about it on Instagram, and then, some people like came through and they like called and messaged and they were like, yo, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
And they were pissed. Like a lot of white people, like his
Yeah.
friends, like people we knew were fucking pissed. Right.
Crazy.
And then when we were on the podcast recording afterwards, he was like, I took to Instagram to like air this out and people came through, but like no colored people came through.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Where are y'all at? Like, what happened? And I was like, I want to like offer an like alternative or an explanation, which is that a lot of the colored folks were probably like, it's just another day.
Just another day?
Yeah.
Oh, that happened to you too?
Because like, it really just is, honestly. Like, it's just life, right?
Yeah.
And like, he came home and he was livid. Like, he was so livid, of course, right? And then like my mom and dad are like, what's going on? And I tell them, I'm like, this just happened. And my dad was straight up like, well, like, why did he park his car like that? Right? Because like, they don't question anything. They weren't taught to. This is just the cost of us living here.
Wow.
Default apologetic.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really
like,
tragic.
It is because it's not our world, right? It's not a world that was built for us. It's not a system that was built for us, by us. So this is just the cost of existing in this society.
And the apathy is real, man. And like, I can't blame anybody that's a brown skinned person for being apathetic towards it, because when you like, just think about the grand scheme of things and the collection of immigrant groups that are in Canada alone, right? The diversity of immigrant groups in Canada, just in BC, let's say, you easily have 30 different ethnic groups in one province in Canada, easily. And almost every single one of these minority groups can say that their countries have been made, unstable and unlivable because of white supremacy, colonization, the after effects of it.
Yeah.
So you have all these people leaving their motherlands where they're connected to directly, living in a country that doesn't want them there, but it's because of that fucking country that they're there, right?
Yeah.
So I think that
It's such a mind fuck.
it is
That's crazy,
because
right?
they bring that burden with them,
Yeah.
and when they have kids, they pass that burden on to their kids, and they can't help it. It's not like brown people believe in therapy.
Well, but the kids can help it. And so instead of really thinking about why our parents and grandparents didn't do the things that they should have done, we need to make sure that the kids do the things they're supposed to do, because that's the only way it ends. Then that's the only way the past doesn't exist anymore.
Right. But what if you are of that generation and you are the one that has that weight on
You
you?
gotta pass it on then.
Right?
Then your responsibilities for the next one.
For sure. But like, what I mean is like, what if, like, I agree with you is that, yeah, it is the responsibility of like that identifying generation to be like, no, like, I'm not going to do that.
Break the
right.
patterns, yeah.
But what about that, the responsibility of that, knowing that, okay, there are things wrong with me because of stuff that like my folks have passed down.
Yeah.
So I got to fix that.
Yeah.
So you got to do that while you also
Yeah.
work on getting over the old stuff. And that's a lot.
Yes, but your
That-
ancestors traveled in ships and half of them didn't make it to certain countries.
100%.
You know what I mean? So we've all had a burden.
Yeah.
That's the shitty thing about this, is that eventually, if we continue to take on burden, eventually one day there's going to be none. There will be no burden.
I
There'll be
certainly
no
hope
cross to
so.
carry.
Like that is like in a perfect world, if I was to like, wave a magic
It'll happen
wand,
eventually.
absolutely. I think that there's so much that, especially this generation specifically, like I think like us, like millennials and the older millennials specifically, are really like identifying
Older
these
millennials.
issues. Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know.
That's
I
fair.
mean,
As 40 sinks
fair.
into the chair,
Harsh ageism right
as Gen X
No, but-
slinks out of the room.
but like it is this generation that's like going like, hey, wait a second,
Yeah.
guys, there's some shit that's wrong
You
here.
guys are the best.
Right. And we're really trying, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we're also like carrying
Big time.
the weight of like our parents' shit. Right. And
Yeah.
we not only do we have to like get over that stuff, but we have to also be understanding of the fact that our parents, will not take the steps to figure it out, and they will continue to do those same behaviors and like re-traumatize you. Right? Like
crazy cycle.
It is constant, right? So it's like there's a lot of weight on us to then also be smart enough to not let that shit affect us. And that's hard.
Then you're being asked to succeed as well. Like we haven't even talked about, you know, trying to survive and then thrive and then succeed and then be able to create something where you can, you know, look back and like I did something. So, okay, it takes, I think the way you think in your age demographic, you're not the majority. There's a small group of like-minded thinkers that have this outlook that things need to change. Okay. Which means that at some point you were activated by something. Was it an incident? Was it a moment?
Sure.
Was it like a pattern that happened?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think I've always known that like something was wrong. Always. Right? Because I think that, and like you'll probably be able to relate to this, like we're not really taught to like critically think or question anything. I was not, at least. Like my brother and I were not.
No, definitely not.
And it was like, it just is what it is, right? And so growing up in that kind of like household and mentality, like you kind of just like whatever is done to you, you just
accept it.
You're like, okay, the world is what it is. Right? And so you don't question it, but you kind of know that something's wrong, right? Like,
so you can say from like a young age you felt
something. Like I feel like from a young age I was just kind of like, I don't really agree with this, but what am I gonna do about it? Yeah. Right? What am I supposed to like step to my dad and have him put me out?
What age are you having these thoughts?
Shit.
Like 7, 8, 9, 10 or whatever. My brother's 4 years older than me, and so and he really like he rebelled from an early age. I hate to use those labels and words just because he was just like a normal kid. You know, normal kid by the standards of like where we grew up, right? But like our parents were not like, you know, those parents that we grew up with, right? And so he challenged them a lot. And so, you know, being 4 years younger than him and then watching the things happen that did, like, no, I didn't agree with him like smoking weed and cigarettes at a young age. Of course not. But I also didn't agree with like corporal punishment as the default. The default. I didn't agree with like, you're just gonna stop and that's it. The end. Like that. None of that shit helps, right? Like, so it just, you know.
Hold on. You just said you're just gonna stomp and that's it. Like you mean
stop. Like, you know, like there wasn't any like
there's no conversation.
Yeah, there's no like that. Hey, I'm going to sit down with you. Like I want to know why you're smoking weed.
So that's
and what the deal is.
That's an important distinction, and I think that's a really important distinction. Conversation.
Yeah. There's no connection. There's no conversation, no connection. It's just my word is the last word. You don't ask why. You don't question it. That's it, right? That's it. And to me, you know, that's what they know. That's what makes sense because that's what they get out there in the world in their like menial job workplaces, right? That's what they got from their parents. That's what their parents got from their parents, right? And then when we get up the ladder, we get to that's what the Girmitias got from their massas, from their overseers.
Well, it becomes family tradition after certain generations. It becomes instilled in your tradition.
Yeah,
family,
it's like just our like genetic makeup is just. Right? Like, and so now what's supposed to happen is that I'm just supposed to like get more and more pissed and resentful and then grow up and like do the regular linear things even when I'm not necessarily ready, right? Like get married, have kids, not be able to like do anything.
Wear shorts,
like, can't go to the party.
Wear shorts and a tank top.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I'm supposed to do all of those things and then like just do the same. Yeah, I'm just supposed to be angry and then like take it out on my kids, right? That's when I get mine. I get mine when I have my kids.
Finally.
And, right? And I'm like, sweet, gonna make your life a living hell, right? Wow. Like, and then at some point, like we seen that shit and we're like, oh, actually no, like I'm super good on that, you know?
So it's like a pattern of years before you started to feel like you were activated and wanted to do something to change the circumstance.
Well, yeah, like I think like eventually, like when I was like in like my mid-teens, maybe I was just like, well, why? Like, why is it so bad for me to go for a walk outside in like the world's safest town? I know that it's all white people here, and we experience a lot of like
snarky comments.
Yeah, right. Like I was not necessarily, and like again, this is my privilege because like I'm a female. Like I did not feel physically unsafe most of the time. There were times here and there, like I've been spat at. I've been
that's fucked up.
I've been like spat at by dudes and like like
Fucking
I've been
goose.
like, you know, said all of the things to me, but like it was my bro who was absolutely like
directly affected.
He was actually physically unsafe in a lot of his teenage years, right? Exactly. Yeah. But like so I can understand why my parents were so like at this point in my adult life, I can understand why my parents were so like, you can't go outside because like it's a treacherous world out there. But there wasn't any of that. There was no conversation. It was just like, I just don't want you outside, the end. And then also just control, right? Control is a really big part of brown parenting, right? And so like I couldn't do anything. And so then you start to like question like, well, like, you know, like he does everything he wants, right? Like he's the physically unsafe person, but he's a boy, so he can go do whatever he wants. But I'm in here like, you know, athletically and excelling, like academically excelling, like doing all of this shit that you're telling me I'm supposed to do. And I haven't earned anything. I haven't earned anything out of it, you know? And so
that's a really tough environment to like figure out who you are.
Yeah. Oh my God. I had no idea. No idea.
When did you figure that out?
When I was 16, I tore my ACL for the first time.
Oh, shit.
What were you doing?
Soccer.
Were you playing soccer?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I was really good. I was really good.
Was it left leg?
Yes.
Yeah, always.
I'm a lefty.
Your
Yeah.
defense.
Mid.
Mid?
It was like a outside mid.
Damn.
It's always the left ACL that goes. It's always
And my whole identity was sports. I did everything: basketball, volleyball, soccer, MMA, like everything. And that was all I did because that's what got me out of the house. Right?
Big time.
And then I didn't have that anymore.
Fuck.
And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I have like no hobbies otherwise. I have no other interests. I had like no idea. And like nobody talked that through with me. Like nobody asked me how I was feeling.
Just a life-altering traumatic experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's eye-opening, especially if nobody comes around and, you know, like, especially when you're left alone. Because that alone is when you figure it out. Like those traumatizing alone moments is when you find yourself. Always. It's like in prison, right? A guy goes to the hole in prison. His first day in the hole, kicking the door, bam, 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 angry. And then the next couple days, you settle down, you get into the pity, self-wallow mode. And then after about 5 days, back in the day, they don't do it anymore. After about 5 days, you start to think about yourself.
That's a long time.
7 days, you start to really question your behavior. After about 2 weeks to a month, you start to really change.
You kill yourself,
You've
man.
like gone through like full introspection.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to have some kind of like, you know.
You have to have like a complete breakdown to nothing in order for that to happen.
And it's all relative. So you had the same thing. So when you were down with your ACL, things were happening in your head and you were questioning yourself and questioning your life probably.
Right? Oh yeah.
And you were left alone in your room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Great, this is my life.
Rice.
And you changed.
Yeah. I don't think it was for the better though. Because I didn't have anything else to like latch myself onto, I guess. And I was like physically unable to like do things, so I couldn't even like escape. And I started playing soccer because my dad put me in soccer.
Oh, it's
right?
a mad Fiji thing.
Yeah, right. I was like 8 or 9 or something, and like we just like went to a community center one day. I had no idea what was going on, right? And he signed me up for soccer. He's like, "Sweet, this is what you do now." And I was like, "Cool." And then I was really good. I was like real
naturally good at it.
Yeah, and then you know, from like age 8 to 9 to like until I injured myself, like he never missed anything. He was at every single thing, every single tryout. He pushed me. I went to BC Summer Games. I played Metro
awesome.
Women's.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I did it, and I was like, cool. This is my ticket out of here.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, we can't afford like fancy university. Like I'm out of here with this. And then I hurt my knee, and like we had no connection or relationship anymore.
So
like,
his identity with you
It's
was
living through you.
Absolutely, right? Like, and I think that's also like a mad Fijian thing is like
time.
living vicariously through your kids, right? Which is like, I don't know, kind of, toxic. I kind of get it. It's toxic, but like, I don't know, I kind of get it, right? And now I see it like, I mean, it was kind of shitty then. And then, you know, once the connection, like once there was nothing there was no connection. And now I try to look at it as like, okay, I feel like now at this point in my life, I'm doing all of the things that like they probably would have done could they have if they knew they could have done these things. And that actually makes me feel kind of good because like I don't get pressure to like, you know, go get married and have babies and stuff.
You're very
and like,
fortunate in
I'm
that way.
super lucky.
Because honestly, that's very rare.
Yes,
very rare.
I am super lucky, right? Like I'm 30 years old and I have no...
I didn't think you were 22. Hey, I didn't think
hey, man.
she was like 22.
Brown skin people.
Brown
skin people. It's that melanin, yo.
Yeah, it absolutely is, right? Like even like my parents are like 64 and you'd never be able to tell. Like everyone still thinks my mom is my sister. I mean, I think so. I think that like the thing with women is that like I think there's definitely some women who just know that they want to like procreate, you know, when they are born. Like they just know. I was never like that. I was more so like, I need to trust someone enough to procreate a human with them. And I don't trust nobody. Like that's quite the undertaking. And like if what my prime example of it is what it is, I'm super good.
Yeah, no, it's a hell. It's a hell life.
No, it's not, man. Like, okay, I grew up in some fucking traumatic circumstances.
Yes, no,
a very traumatic upbringing, and when I had kids, when me and my baby mother had kids, I should say, I wanted to make sure that I was absolutely nothing like my parents whatsoever.
I get it.
But I inherited religion, right? And I brought that with me for the first couple of years of our married life and upbringing of our first kid.
Yeah.
And then I found cannabis.
Yes.
New
religion.
The day that I smoked, no exaggeration, okay? The day I fucking smoked weed, the very first day, all of these walls that were up blocking my thought process just like fell.
Wow.
Yeah, so things like religion and...
You're never reading the Torah again.
Yeah, these antiquated belief systems, I just kind of like, this is all fucking... We were so... no exaggeration, okay? We were so brainwashed.
Yeah.
Growing up, I never saw a Christmas tree.
Wow.
Whoa,
in my house, never happened. Never. Not one single year.
What year was your first Christmas tree?
Honestly?
Yeah.
You're going to fucking laugh. My daughter was 5.
Wow, good for you.
Four,
You made it.
We broke every single shitty cycle that my parents put upon me. We changed. And it's crazy because I see it in my kids. I have a 20-year-old boy. I have a 14-year-old girl. And I see how trauma-free they are. And it's fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah,
wow.
Because they're just free to think, free to express themselves, free to be just whatever version of themselves they want to be. They decide. Yeah, and I see it now, and I'm like, holy fuck. It's not their fault that they fucked up, but they really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say this thing like, you know, when we know better, we can do better. And like
Facts.
Mom and Dad just did not know better, man. Like they didn't, right? And like I don't like hold on to that shit anymore at all. Like I think I really, really used to, especially with, you know, what I saw it do to my brother.
Yeah.
That really, really sucked because his life was really hard just living in the town that we grew up in, like with the bullying and all the hate that he used to get, especially as a boy. And then, you know, to come home and not have any type of supports was just like, where was his safe place, right? Where were we supposed to go to talk to anybody about anything? Yeah. And like his life could have been so different, right? And like, we feel like, you know, we're trying to take all that shit back now.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And like rewrite our future and rewrite some things for ourselves. But like,
it takes a while.
Yeah.
So so obviously, you know, growing up in an Indian household, therapy is not really a thing.
It's not.
Do you find yourself self-diagnosing, or do you actually go to a therapist?
Yeah.
To deal?
So that was one of the things from a very young age where I was just like, I should go to therapy. We should go to therapy.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
you were
like,
on it.
Yeah, like from a very young age, those was one of those things where I was just like questioning it, and I was just like, why does it exist? Like,
that's crazy.
What is going to be so bad? Like, I was like, it's for people who aren't okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I should go there. Like,
wow.
It makes sense, right? And so I've always been an advocate for therapy. I never myself got like formal therapy until I was an adult, but it was something that I suggested to our like entire family.
Yeah.
From like my early teens, because my brother was like just so messed up, and I was like, but it's all of us. Like we're all not okay. It's not him, right?
For sure.
Right? Because I think that's the other thing, especially in brown families, is that we try to like point at one person and be like, you're the problem, and if you fix yourself, then everything's gonna be okay because you're the one who's fucking everything up, right? And I was like, no, like this is like an everyone thing. I was able to see from a very young age that like my brother wasn't just the way he was on accident. It was for some pretty specific things that you could write down bullet point chronologically, and it equated to what it did, you know? And so it wasn't until I was like in my mid-20s where I was just like, I'm going to go to therapy because I'm like just not okay. It was actually because I was in a bad relationship. And I really wanted to, I went to therapy to become more secure because I was blamed for being insecure in my relationship, and the onus was put on me to change my mindset so then I could be okay
as
with
opposed
all
to your
these
partner making you feel secure.
Yes,
which
yeah,
is
absolutely.
the goal of somebody's
mind.
Yeah, and so I went to regular therapy. I think my brother was going for a few years already, just because of like all of his issues. He was like more on it, which was terrific, and it was kind of sporadic, but he definitely did it. And like now we're like regular advocates for regular therapy. We go regularly, like
it's really good
all the time. Yeah, it's one of those things where like I feel like, you know, if you like have a heart attack one day and like you're a heart patient now and you have to take regular medication, you don't just stop taking your medication like once you're not like presenting symptoms or you feel like you're okay. It is something that you continue to do.
Interesting.
And so I really feel like I'll never stop. There are times where I go more frequently than other times, but I don't think I could ever stop
doing that for yourself.
Well, okay.
Thanks.
You've had some fucking trauma. You've never done any kind of therapy?
I can't tell the truth to a therapist.
Wow. That's fucked up.
So why even bother?
Because what would happen if you did?
I just can't do it. When I was 9-10 years old, they flew in Dr. Don Arnott. He was the world's leader in child psychology. They flew him into Victoria to come talk to me. And I sat there and I manipulated the guy at age fucking 10 years old. And to the point where he's like, why was this kid? No, he's lying. I'm like, no. And I've just, in my whole life, never trusted. Ever. I've never been given any reason to trust anyone.
Facts.
And so I live with major trust issues my entire life. So until I can get over the trust issues by making good friends that I can count on, you know what I mean? And like having good people around me that I feel secure around, I'm never going to be able to get to a therapist. So I'm not going to trust them. I did online during the COVID. I did an online. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go for therapy. So I called and they're like, well, we're doing online therapy. So I'm like, okay.
It's not the same, especially the first time.
Yes, it's not the same. Can't do it.
Especially the first few times, because I did the online stuff during COVID too, but like I was like very lucky to be very like established with my therapist, and I've heard just horror stories about people not finding like a good therapist for a very long time, or it just not being a good fit, you know, because it's like any other relationship. And like that has not been my case. I've been super lucky. Like she's incredible, and she's like this super cool young white girl who like honors everything about me, and like that's so important. That's awesome. Really, really important, but
super important.
Apparently hard to find. Yeah.
Well, white female therapist.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard to find that kind of like connection and relationship, right? I'm sure there's like many of her, but like a lot of people of color will gravitate towards like a therapist who's like them.
Yeah. That's exactly what I did.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's fair.
I think a part of it for me was the understanding of the cultural impact.
Yeah.
Of how the culture can devastate you just to begin with.
Exactly.
And I think because they have that understanding, their approach, I don't want to say their approach is different, but their approach is, I think
you don't have to explain anything.
Yeah, you don't have to, the details, the small details.
It's incredible. I completely get that. I completely get that.
Well, you can sum up a lot with
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, boom. We get it. You're automatically on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a part of it for me is my activation was Malcolm X. Reading the Malcolm X autobiography completely mind fucked me at that age.
Okay.
Because in our culture, we didn't have any heroes. All of our heroes that were sold to us were either religious or Bollywood, right? And Bollywood is fucking whack.
So lame. Oh my God.
You look at Hollywood.
Back in the day.
Okay.
That one.
No. Further back.
That one.
Oh hell yeah. So 80s. Hey man, DJ, you understand?
You know what? But that's the banger that everyone always
remember the 80s? It was always in the 80s. Like, yeah. Everyone was
but
just.
Even all the white kids at my school were like, "Hey, Ange, do you know Tunak Tune?" And I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And then they would play it for me, and I would be like, "It's not Tunak Tune, you idiot."
But think about Hollywood in the 80s. Yeah. Think about who represented Hollywood.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone. These fucking
douchebags.
But as a 7-8-year-old, you're looking at these guys. They're fucking superheroes. They're legitimate superheroes. Yeah. And you look at Bollywood, and these dudes got pot bellies, and they're dancing half the movie. Like, this is not a fucking hero. I always looked at it. Yeah. And I always looked at it as a joke.
Lip syncing.
A part of me always looked at our culture as a joke. And they were all light skinned. There was no relatability at all.
Yeah. Well, but that was how they wanted it to be.
I just think they didn't know better.
Well, I grew up with all Indian people in my entire life. My entire life, dude. My entire life. And the one thing I feel like I have a great grasp on is Indian culture. For the simple fact that I've seen guys go from young to old, and they've never changed. The whole way they are they've just gotten gray hair. They haven't changed because they're suppressed. You learn to be suppressed and you stay suppressed, right? The fucking Bollywood and all that stuff back in the day was a joke to everybody growing up in the 80s, right?
Big time.
It was a joke. Hey, everybody walk around, right? Like, oh, hey, right? Remember? And it was a joke.
Yeah.
And we looked at it as a joke because it was so colorful.
Yeah.
And it was like this colorful.
It was like a spectacle,
Spectacle. It was a circus. And it's what Indian, I believe it's what they wanted the world to think. I believe that's how it was. They wanted to. It's almost like this. It's like when you go to a new school. Doesn't matter who you are. You go to a new school. You go to a new class. You're a young person. You try anything to fit in, right? You try to wear something nice, maybe, so you're colorful, so people look at you and notice you, or you play the clown, or I'm an idiot. Oh, a bolt fall on your head. You know what I mean? Everyone laughs at you, but they like you because you're this new lovable idiot at school. And I feel like that's what we were taught to do. I feel like that's what cultures still do to this day.
They sort of play into a stereotype, right?
And so it's easy to get in, and then we love you, and you're not threatening, and then you kind of grow.
Right, because ultimately a stereotype exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Right, and those reasons are generally valid.
There's some truth, obviously. That's why it's funny. That's why people can laugh at it. I think but the problem is, you have to have an understanding for the stereotype to be funny, right? As opposed to it being insulting or you taking it personally.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it too.
That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, motherfuckers take that shit hella personal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to go see a Russell Peters show if you don't like stereotypes, because he stereotypes everybody. Yeah. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
These stereotypes are
Did you ever hear I know this is kind of crazy, but I've heard this on Jerry Springer. And when the guy was like, yeah, well, you called me a honky, right? You ever hear that? You ever hear someone ever call someone a honky?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never heard that word in my life.
You called me the N-word. I had nothing else.
What does that mean?
I had nothing else.
Yeah, like my brother says that.
Yeah.
You feel like, I have nothing else.
That's the
right?
equivalent.
And actually, just recently, I told my brother what, because we were recording an episode, and I was talking about how like, you know, when the overseers on the horses would come and they would whip the guirmitias in the field, and I said, like, he cracked his whip, and that is the origin of the word cracker. And he blew his fucking mind. He was like, oh my God, like, that's not even offensive. Then, like, that's for real. Like, that's the truth. Like, that's what it was. And I was like, yeah, like, it's not, you can't say that shit. And like, I mean, sure, someone might take it personally and be like, oh my God, I'm not a slave owner or whatever the fuck, you know? But the thing, it is different. Like, it is absolutely different from like the N-word or anything else. Like, I really do feel like once you've like, the N-word is here, like there is nothing that you can say.
Yeah, I'm ready to fight at that point.
Like,
yeah.
There's nothing that you can do.
But the thing is, for me, I've been called the N-word more by white women than I ever have by white
That's
men.
weird.
Yeah.
What?
Because when they get agitated, their default is the N-word. And they know I can't do shit. I'm not going to go hit somebody over that. But I'm an MC. I got words too. Yeah. I just don't have that word.
That's insanity.
But yeah. So
that's
oh my God.
Two mind-blowing statements after another. The cracker and the white chick.
Yeah, and and the
how dare they? Oh my goodness. Like, and it's just also it's also like a self burn, because it's like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, you don't know what a black person is. You don't know what a brown person is.
It's like, get your racial out.
I don't know how to deal with it well. I gotta say, I don't react well, and that when that word is introduced, because I mean, I could cut somebody up with words. I was a battle rapper for a long time. I know how to use my words, but that word, and I think it's more triggering because I come from that school that I was taught to love myself by someone that was extremely militant, right? Malcolm is so militant. And he taught me to love what I look like and love who I am and respect what I am. And he demonized the fuck out of the N-word. So every time I hear it, my thinking is just trapped in that Malcolm mentality. Yeah. And I'm sure if he could fight, he'd punch somebody out for that word. But another dude didn't have to, man. He had his words.
I'm undercover brother, and I hear it all the time. And, you know, a lot of white guys think I'm fucking white, right? And so I hear it all the time. My experience with racism is listening to it through other people's mouths, directed at other fucking people.
Right, because you should be a safe space for them, right? Yeah.
Because I'm a real easy person to deal with, so everyone lets loose and becomes themselves. Ugh. Always happens, and it's why I have zero friends. All of you people who are watching me. Yeah. I mean, not all of you. I have friends, but I mean, it's why I'm very limited in my interactions, because it's a very racist city. It's a racist city.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And you know what? That's really shitty and unfortunate, because there are so many like beautiful things that could have been built and made with more unity. Yeah. You know, our producer is this white dude who's like just the biggest ally ever. And he, like, you know, when I went to him like with my idea, he like supported it incredibly. And like we say whatever we're going to say on the podcast every week, right? And he has been questioned before, like, don't you get mad? Like, how do you feel when they say the things that they say about white people? And like, he knows that he's not one of those white people that we're talking about, right? Like, he's an ally. He gets it. He knows that.
It's common sense.
Yeah, it is, but it's not so common though, is it?
Facts.
Right? And like, if relationships were more like that, like, and people, like white people were more like him, like, the world would be such a beautiful place. Like, this could be such a beautiful place to like create so much beauty and art and like work together.
Yeah, and actually become a strong country instead of this kind of like weirdly big country that has no identity, you know? Everyone struggles to have self-identity, and there's no real like Canadian identity.
Dude, I'd prefer us to not have a national identity.
Well, it'd be nice to have a real unified identity where it's like a real safe place for people to come. Like, it'd be really nice, man. Like, I mean, we're shifting everybody who comes here, we're pushing them to the prairies right now.
It's utopian. Right? It's utopian, sounds nice, but I mean, like, Dude, there's so much repair that has to happen before there could ever be any unity or any kind of compromise. And like right now, like literally as we speak, there are protesters trying to stop the pipeline from being built literally right now that are being directly assaulted by the RCMP as we have this conversation. There's land defenders being arrested, violently being arrested. And there's celebrities all over North America talking about it. But if we can't even get simple shit like that corrected, there's no way we're going to this utopian society.
Simple things like having access to clean, drinkable water. Like this is Canada. This is supposed to be like, this is the first world, right? This is the free world. This is where everyone comes to like escape things like that, right? Meanwhile, we have so many communities that don't have access to clean water. We have so many communities that don't have access to reproductive health care. Like that's pretty basic, isn't it? Like healthcare in Canada is a basic right.
It's kind of raved about everywhere else in the world.
Right. It is supposed to be a basic right. And like we have women and folks who get pregnant in the Northern Territories who have to fly to like Edmonton and other places to give birth because they don't have the healthcare, right? They don't have access to prenatal care. They have to do that on their own dime.
It's brutal.
Right?
Do you think politically, with the current system that we have, that it could be changed? Let's just say there's a monumental shift and Jagmeet gets elected prime minister.
I was just gonna say, so like here's the thing, he's great. There definitely needs to be more of like a step 1, step 2, step 3, because there tends to be a lot of like, we're just gonna do this. Well, how? We're just gonna do it. I love your attitude.
No,
the cash has got to come from somewhere. You know what I mean? So the thing is that like we have the ability to solve all of these issues right now. We're just not, because we don't prioritize them.
We're also under the thumb of the Americans, and we're being held back from doing a lot of things because they say we can't do them. And that's a big issue, right? Like, you know, we give them everything and we are dictated to by them. That's the shitty part.
Pretty much.
And that's the unseen X factor that we don't think about, right? Look at our electric vehicle situation. He's putting a stomp on the electric vehicle. You know what I mean? The tax, so now no one's going to buy out of Canada. You know, and they need that. You know what I mean? We need it, or our car industry's toast. America's going to take over this EV thing. They're just going to kill it. And they're going to stomp on Canada's system, man. We're going to have nothing, right? It's like little things like that. You know, and I think, you know, we got all this oil. Why don't we just not make oil?
So the problem
Let's just not make oil. Let's say fuck it. No more oil.
Dude, the problem is we don't have all this oil. We don't. To get to the tar get the tar sands to become oil, it's one of the most labor-intensive and water-intensive processes that exist on the planet, man. It's not like
off the tar.
Dude, it's not like they have wells and the oil is just shooting out of it. They're taking like gigantic, you know, tons of like, sand and like spraying the shit out of it to try and get to whatever bottom of the barrel shit that there is that you can turn into crude. So we don't have oil, man. It's not. We're just strip mining whatever's left of that pit in Alberta. It's disgusting, man.
Sad.
Like what is our thing? Like what do we got?
We have identity.
I was just talking to like one of my coworkers. He's Pakistani and used to live in Kuwait. And he was telling me about how in Kuwait, I didn't know this, there's no tax there. They don't no one gets charged for anything there because they're just sitting on oil money, living their lives. What?
Royal family's in charge.
What?
Yeah, the 90s, man. Kuwait. Remember Kuwait?
Saddam tried to take it.
Saddam tried to take it. He knew there was this...
he knew.
He knew. So these motherfuckers aren't paying taxes. I'm rolling in. Tax-free.
But even I don't know how we got to Saddam, but even with Saddam, like, you remove him from the Middle East, and then it's a complete breakdown, a complete shit show. You take Gaddafi out of Libya, you take Saddam out of Iraq, and the whole fucking thing falls apart. And now the entire Middle East is at war. Whereas when Saddam was around, obviously, I'm not saying Saddam was good, but when he was around, the rest of the Middle East didn't act up.
They acted right? Because
Yeah.
he was like the big bully in the
He was the
schoolyard.
man.
He was like, if you had
Nobody
a strong
dared.
grandfather, you know, that always shook your hand
Facts.
and crushed your hand. That was who Saddam was.
Yeah.
Your family grandfather, like, shit, don't look him in the eye.
Big facts.
But he held it together, right? And grandma still fucking made him tea. You know what I mean? And, you know, everyone feared him in the home.
Nobody liked him, but yeah, 100%.
Right? That's exactly right. Nobody
Saddam.
liked him, but everybody feared him.
Yeah.
Now, being the global majority, how the fuck did it take? How is it taking so long for us to eliminate this blanket of white supremacy that's all over the planet?
That's a good question because it's ingrained in our systems and they were built from it.
I mean, being Indian, the majority?
No, I just mean the global majority that's not white.
It's not white.
Yeah. By a huge measure.
But the systems are white. The systems are white. And we can't dismantle white supremacy without dismantling the systems first.
And the systems have kind of been in like a real big spotlight, especially in the U.S. Massive spotlight on the inequities in the system. Kyle Rittenhouse just got off.
Yeah.
All charges.
All charges, yeah.
Not even a fucking gun charge.
Yeah, so can we talk about that? Because I was doing some reading,
yeah.
right? I came prepared because I was like, okay, we want to talk about this. And this is really silly, right? So like there were a total of 6 charges and like most of them, you know, related to actually killing people. Yeah. Okay. There's this one here that is, you know, the actual possession of a dangerous weapon. Did he not?
That one got
don't
dropped.
Don't we see it? Can't we see it in video? Like, isn't it there?
Yeah, it was there. He showed up from another state with a
So
weapon.
he's
crossed
from
the border.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how far that is?
Yeah, he crossed 3 borders.
Okay. It is like 330K. Yeah. Okay. It takes that's like a 3.5 hour drive.
Damn.
So like, that's like us driving to like Kamloops or something right now.
With our GAT.
And being like, oh, we're just here to protect the businesses.
That nobody asked you to.
Right. So.
And they rob human nature. Sorry to interrupt you. Human nature is driving for 3 hours. You would at least once have that thing where you go, I should turn back. Right?
Sure.
It happens with everyone. You question and then you say, no, I'm going. So it showed intent.
Yeah. So, you know, all of the other things aside, I mean, like, how surprised are we? Like, you know, a white supremacist system held up white supremacy. Are we surprised?
Even at the expense
No.
of white lives.
Yeah, right. There you go, right? Like, are we surprised? No. Like, we're mad, yeah, but we're not surprised. But like the gun charge, like he got off of that because his lawyers argued that, you know, there was like a subsect of a different piece of law that applied to a different type of gun.
And
a
the judge
different
accepted
barreled,
it?
yeah, a different barreled gun. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. And
Just
then,
like, all right, let's remove
and
that
then
charge.
the lowest of the lowest rung possible, even just like the being out past the curfew, which is just like, you know, like a fine. It was like a couple $100 fine. Yeah. The judge still said that the prosecution didn't provide enough evidence to prove that.
But there was
deep pockets behind Kyle, man.
Like,
he got bailed out
tell
of
me you're a
jail.
white supremacist without telling me you're a white supremacist.
Yeah, he got bailed out of jail, $2 million bail off of a GoFundMe.
Yeah, crazy, eh?
Can you imagine how many fucking people had to put in
People came
to get to
through for
2
him.
million?
People came through for him, yeah.
Like gangbusters, like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then he gets off on all the charges, and then Matt Gaetz, who's a colossal piece of shit, is trying to hire him as an intern.
That's what's going to happen.
Yo, it's a mess. Yeah.
And this is the same Matt
The guy's
Gaetz.
going to be elevated.
Well, this is the same Matt Gaetz that was crossing the border with underage girls in his car doing cocaine and
Married guy, right?
married with
Christian
kids,
fucking-
strong conservative Christian like all of them. And he's trying to hire him as an intern.
Yeah.
Now,
What do you think Trump's going to do?
Oh, dude, Trump's already congratulated him
Yeah.
on the charges being dropped. Now, we're all on social media, I guess, fortunately and unfortunately. And this conversation with this verdict is raging on social media circles, and there's always a group of people that wants to just exalt him and put him in this position of, well, you wouldn't put yourself in that situation. Well, no shit, idiot. Why would I go to a different state with a gun when there was no violence in this area at the time? Nobody was shot that day in this area by anybody. The only time people were shot was when this shit had showed up. And I think the prosecution had a great point that, like, if you choose to go to a tense situation armed, self-defense is out of the question. Yeah. Because you put yourself in that dangerous situation.
Right. Yeah.
If you're putting yourself in the dangerous situation, you can't claim self-defense because you know you could potentially be harmed. And not even that argument could stand up.
No, because there was video evidence that they said suggested that he was attacked first or whatever. So he was, he was defending himself or whatever the hell. Okay, like, all of that shit aside, like, fine, whatever, right? Like,
he was attacked first.
He was defending himself. Okay, cool, whatever. Like, I'm not. Like, I don't think I would, when I was 17, take a gun and drive a few hours. Like, and you know what? You and I wouldn't. You know why?
Hell no.
We wouldn't, right? Because, like, I don't have bulletproof skin, right? Which brings me to my next point, which is after he did it, he walked towards the cops. And they did nothing. And you can hear folks saying, hey, he just shot them back there. He just shot them back there. And they didn't even arrest his ass.
No, they did something, though. They said, good job. Yeah. And they gave the motherfucker a water bottle.
Yeah. You need some water?
Right. Yeah.
They gave him a water bottle.
So nothing happened to him then, right? Can you imagine if, like, all Jacob Blake had to do was have a knife and he posed a threat and got shot 7 times, like, the end.
Within seconds.
Right? What if that was a black dude that had done that and he was still, like, black dudes get shot all the time with their hands up still.
He would have been dead in a minute. Come on, man. Philando Castile, Tamir Rice. We could have a list that would go for hours.
Right. But, like, here's the thing, though, is, like, would he even have, like, I question even whether this even would have happened, like, if he would have even shot the second or third person, because no one else shot him when he did it, right? The white ones were the people who had the guns, right?
No retaliation.
And, like, no one, like, there was no black people there with guns who shot him. And if it was a black person who did it, there would have been white people there right away who shot him.
Immediately.
You guys are missing one very important factor of all this. And because we're all, number one, there's a race war in America. It's a silent war. It's brewing. It's coming to the mainstream, and it's going to explode, and it's going to keep going. But there is a race war, obviously. And number two, Rittenhour is military. They look after their own.
He was a cadet.
He was.
He's a fat fuck. He was a cadet.
He followed military websites. He talked with military people. He fucking carried a military weapon.
That's how they like mobilized. That's how
one
they
punch lunch.
That's how they communicated and found each other.
Right. So,
but, like, what about it?
That's why he got off.
But you got.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So now on top of that,
that's what all they care about.
But dude, he's got 2 previous two previous criminal incidences of being a dangerous person. This is something that they didn't even allow in the courts because he was underage. They had the record sealed. But he has 2 other priors before this. People act like he's some fucking saint, self-proclaimed medic.
Dude, they needed to have somebody to hang up on a fucking pedestal or whatever and say, flag. This is a good American.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, the thing that is really so dangerous about this now is that this has really set the precedent, right? Like, there's a lot of white people out there now who are going to be like, cool, like, he was good, I'll be good too. Right? And that is, like, just so dangerous. That is so unsafe. Yeah.
And I think what's even worse is that now it's like, you give them the justification, fine, not going to go to jail, we're going to give you no punishment at all. Even if a person is not a shithead, but they have a gun, and they have a couple of shitty interactions with people that are brown. Now in their mind, that seed can be planted that I could fucking kill somebody. Nobody would give a shit. I could put a bullet in them and nobody would care. They can actually create that scenario for themselves. There's no other ethnic group that can create that scenario. I can go shoot this motherfucker and not go to jail. the fact that you can have that in your mind as some kind of a, I don't know, security blanket, I guess, to be able to have that in your mind, it changes everything, man. Yeah. Changes the way you interact with people.
But I don't believe that will be the answer. Like, the fact that he was supported by military militias is what got him off. I don't feel like another white guy is going to come up and go, I'm going to go pop some guys and get away with it. Because they don't.
I hope not.
You see white redneck fucking pieces of shit getting busted for shooting people all the time in the States. All the time. Just watch the news on YouTube late at night and watch all the news clips from all the fucking cities, Detroit, Chicago. I watch all that shit, right? Because I want to see, yes, probably 80% of that shit is fucking black people getting shot by fucking cops. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's really crazy. But there are so many fucking redneck shitheads out there fucking killing people. It's crazy. It's really crazy. There's a race war in the States, man.
And there's more of them too, right? Yeah. So the per capita, there's more white people. They're going to commit more of the crimes.
If people of color decided, okay, everybody, we're going to war, white people would be fucking decimated in North America within probably 72 hours. Like, come on, think about it.
Oh, for sure, man.
Think about it.
For sure.
And if other people are like, nah, man, that ain't happening, man. I don't know what you're talking about, son. No, dude, straight up.
You wiped off the planet.
Wiped off the planet. So what does it come to then? Like, what does it come to? What do we have to do? Does it have to be violent? Mm-hmm. Does it have to be for it to finally end?
I mean,
does it have
history
to be
has certainly showed us that, right? Because we are where we are due to violence.
Yeah.
I have to say that I respectfully disagree that, this isn't going to empower white people. I think judgments like this and acquittals like this and results like this always lead to the empowerment of white supremacy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like there's going to be a bunch of white people popping off, killing people. It just means, this is just when they like go see, like, I'm good. See, like he was right in what he did. Yeah, he was right in what he did. Second Amendment rights. Yeah. And that's it, right? That's all they need, right? And I felt the same when, Trump was elected and got up on his platform and started saying the things that he said, and everybody was appalled. And I was like, well, these people have been in the woodworks this whole time, and he's just empowering them, and he empowered them for as long as he did. Mm-hmm. And like now they out here, like they have a voice and they think that voice is valid. Right?
Dude,
they just continue to empower each other.
They think that John F. Kennedy Jr. is going to come back.
From the dead?
From the dead.
To do...
With Trump.
Have a cooking show?
No, with Trump and the American military.
I'd watch it.
And they're going to take back the country. This is not a fringe belief. These idiots believe this shit's going to happen.
Yeah, but bro, it probably will.
JFK Jr. is going to come back from the dead?
No, I don't mean that part, but I mean about
maybe
Trump
he's
fucking
just like
taking
in a vault
back
somewhere or something.
Yeah, dude,
will,
Trump's popping off, man. Nothing has stopped him. Nothing has changed his trajectory. He's still probably going to be president in the next election.
Yikes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, who else wins?
Who else?
You can't. And even if you win,
Kamala?
Trump's no way, dude. She hasn't even been
so
seen.
phony.
She hasn't even been seen.
She's phony. Anyways.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Which is unfortunate, super unfortunate, because like, yeah, it was very
It's
happy.
sad she's a puppet, though. Like, it's sad because I think she could have her own voice and be very strong on her own.
Is she the puppet? Because I thought that he was the puppet. That's what I thought this whole thing was.
I don't think she's...
I thought that he was the puppet.
She's the Clinton puppet.
I don't think she's as capable as we are giving her credit for, because she's fucked up a lot.
And she's
in
secretly,
her time.
like...
Well, I mean, okay.
Anti-Tom.
Do you feel some kind of solidarity with her ethnically? Because she's part Indian?
It certainly
like respect,
felt
right?
really amazing to
Seeing her in
see
that spot.
someone who looked like her there. And like, not just because she's like half Indian, but because she's half South Indian, right?
Yeah.
Like her mom is from the same place that like my mom's ancestry comes
it's pretty
from.
amazing.
And like, we never thought that we'd see that in the White House. Like, that's
Period.
just a dream,
Yeah.
right? And so like that's terrific. Everything that has followed thereafter is, you know, not incredible. It hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had really high hopes for her, man.
Really,
like I
eh?
really thought I did, dude. I was like,
I think that actually, like, I think you're right, and I did too, because I think someone like her, people like her in general, when you see something different, right? When you see a Barack Obama or a Kamala Harris, you there's this standard that's placed on them that's like you really do expect. You expect more from them, and I think it's like kind of fair to expect more from them, right? And I think that like if that were me, I would feel a lot of pressure to come out for all of the girls
Over
who
and
look like
above.
me,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know, these people are counting on me, and at the end of the day, like who are you
She has to
loyal
toe
to,
a
right?
line.
You're loyal to the man, and like, you know, I don't know, but I agree. I think that it was fair and valid to have some high hopes from someone who is the complete opposite of what we've seen in that office, right? Just cis white men.
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Because even as a Canadian, I felt hopeful when Barack Obama was elected.
Of course,
Because I was like, this guy's going to come in and he's young and he's fresh and he's smart.
Yeah.
And he was saying things nobody ever said. He came out in support of Palestine. I was like, what? An American president in support of Palestine?
Yeah.
And then he gets elected and he killed more Muslims than any other president ever, including George Bush
yeah.
Jr., the
It's a
second,
job,
whatever the
man.
fuck you want
It's
to call
part of
it.
the job.
Yeah, he killed more Muslims than anybody else in his 8 years as president. So
What's the
it feels
job?
like it's just we're just being appeased with these little pieces. I think Jagmeet Singh's the only time I've actually been like genuinely hopeful, because he seems like he really doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, by his TikTok dancing, he sure doesn't
I was just
give a
gonna
fuck.
say, yeah, like you're right. He doesn't give a fuck,
Yeah.
and like, you know, a lot of people don't like that he is like on the TikTok and living his life, and I'm like, so he's trying to appeal to a demographic that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this really about?
And he's a human being having fun
Yeah.
on top of it.
Well, and that's the funny thing though, is that like they're, you know, they like, how many times have we heard of politicians like, you know, being friends with unsavory characters and like misbehaving,
Yeah.
right? And like doing dumb shit. Like they all suck. They all do dumb shit.
Yeah.
Here's one who's out here like doing like such harmless human shit and
Yeah.
being like so criticized. It's
Yeah.
The dude
remarkable.
the dude rides a longboard and trains jujitsu
It's too much for people.
and Muay Thai.
You know
it's
what?
too much.
You're
And
not-
he's
I think you're
nice.
right.
Like he's
Yeah.
nice
They
to
can't handle it.
he's nice to a point where you almost get like this might be the wrong person because he's a shithead, but you almost get like Gandhi vibes because he's all love. He just projects love. Even in the circles where people have come out and openly been hateful and try to demean him, he just approaches them all with love. And all white people fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, that is like the like strongest value or tenet of Sikhism too, right? Is like just love. Like
Yeah.
you love, like literally love thy neighbor, but like actually not bullshit. Like not like, you know, until they piss
Live
me off.
it.
It's
Live
like, yeah,
it.
you
Yeah.
live it, and you do come through for others, and you
Big time.
you know you like insert yourself into like harm's way to like protect someone else. Like he really does like live and breathe that.
Yeah.
and preach that, and we've seen that so many times.
Facts.
Like in video, and you know, even like candid video, right?
Yeah.
Where he's been attacked in so many ways, and he's just like comes through.
Like that Karen
You know?
that lit him up at that
Tried to.
at that thing. Yeah.
Tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to, but like he was good, right? And like he's really being true to himself.
Yeah.
And like, can anyone else really say that? Can anyone else on the
Yeah,
same
but that
platform
doesn't get you
say that?
votes.
Not
That's
yet.
the shitty thing. He's 25 years way too early. You know, that's true. He's probably a generation too early. He's appealing to this next generation of kids that'll vote, but he won't be around by then. You know, and that's really the tragic part. Like the problem with people voting, why I don't vote. This is why I don't vote a lot of it, is because you can't really get your option that you want in life. You know, with something like, you know, especially with Jagmeet, when you could love Jagmeet and for everything he stands for, but if you're too nice, the thing that thinks about you is, I'm going to get pushed around by Americans. This guy's too nice. You know, like he's not going to have the balls to stand up and be this. That's what people think.
I think only white people think that.
Yeah, but everybody thinks that.
I think
he speaks out against like everything. Like he calls
dramatically.
He calls JT out on everything. He calls everybody out on everything.
Yeah, and just the voting people, they're not ready for that yet.
I think
they're not ready.
It is very divided. Like when you start to look at the results, like as they come in the evenings, and like you see all like the blue that's in the prairies. Yeah. It's
they just vote because that's what
they've
done.
Scary.
Dude, I think white
scary.
people don't want to have a strong brown person in office. They don't want that, man.
They don't want.
They definitely don't want a beard having turban wearing.
Well, because he's threatening, man. Sucks. Like people that are highly intelligent and represent themselves well, especially when you're brown skin, you're not. It's not a value, right? It's a threat. You become threatening to them.
I think you're right. I think like no one likes it when someone is so confident and sure of themselves in their own skin. No one likes that, right?
But Canada, it's more like that's not our identity yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Canadians are like, oh, what do we look like? And they're not ready for that brown.
But why does that need to have like one distinct answer with like one word? Like, why is that? Like, why do we need to have this identity? Why do we need to look a certain way?
We're just evolving into a better group of humans. Like we're evolving into, and this is a rough patch. You know, the COVID mix.
This is a rough patch?
Look.
It's been
right
like
now,
like fucked up rough patch.
No. But what I mean is like this is a rough patch of learning. This is part of the transition time where COVID has come. All of these shootings in the States have all happened at the same time. Like they've gotten this massive media run, right? Like this is changing. Things are changing, right?
So I think it seems like it could be a rough patch for some folks because this might be like a new world to some people. This might be the first time that they're hearing about it. This is a conversation that a lot of people have been having since the day that they were born. And I maybe just want to like put that out there into the world and offer that up to folks is that, you know, like it's fair that some people are coming to terms with like how the system that we live in works. It's fair that some people who didn't realize that they have privilege and benefit from privilege have that. That's totally fair. I think it's really important that we like lean into this conversation, feel the uncomfortable and like grow from it and like learn from it and all of those things. I think it's also really important to acknowledge that while a lot of the world is engaging in this discourse in the last year and a half, a large portion of us have been engaging in this discourse and asking and talking since the day we could talk. Yeah. So
yeah, but who's it more important for?
For everyone?
Yeah, but that's too easy of an answer. This is more important for the people who haven't experienced racism. This is more important for the people who've had their heads up their asses. Because they're the ones that need to change.
Of course. Yeah. Absolutely. And we've been trying, I think, right? Like I think that there's some folks who are a lot like easier to talk to than others, and there's a lot of people who want to like question things and be like, well, like I don't benefit from that system, and like, you know, I think it's like pretty safe to assume that every single time a white person benefits from the system or benefits from supremacy or privilege, that like, you know, there isn't someone that runs up to them with a ticket and says, hey, this is your privilege ticket for the day, right? Like you don't know, like you have no idea, right? Like we have no idea when we benefit from something or like why things happen the way that they do. And that's fair, right? Are the people who receive like the shitty end of that stick probably gonna see it? Yeah, probably. Are the people who like receive racism and experience those things on a daily basis going to understand it and see it more? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I think one real important distinction is it's not our responsibility to make sure that white people understand and know it. It's not our job to make sure that you figure out how fucked up the system is that you live in. It's not our responsibility. I think the fact that we have to identify all of the problems that exist in the situation while having had our identity taken from us at the same time, to reclaim that and then to tell you, okay, well, you fucked it up for us. The system is still fucked up. Here are all the things that are fucked up about the system.
Right.
Since you built the system, now fix the system. And white people are like, well, not really. It's not really my job to do this.
It's not my job. Or
Then
like,
whose
I don't-
fucking,
like,
whose
I
fucking job is
specifically
it?
Didn't do it.
Yeah, like now no one wants to take credit for it, but everybody wants to take credit for being a Canadian. Oh, it's my country, my country, my country. If it's your country and you know there's all these fucked up things wrong with the big chunk of the population, fix your fucking country. Otherwise, don't call it your country. Stop taking ownership for it. Because if you take ownership for something, you gotta take ownership for all
of it, right?
all
Yeah,
of that
you
shit.
can't pick and choose.
Yeah, you gotta take it.
Yes,
You gotta take
absolutely.
ownership for downtown East Side. You gotta take ownership for poverty in its extremist forms. Because, dude, we have communities in this country that are beyond third world countries.
It's pretty bad.
There are
So
pockets that
fucked
are
up.
beyond third world countries. Dude, there's places in the world that have running water, like just wells where they can get water, and communities can't even get that in a developed country. Right?
It's embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
fucking embarrassing.
So when a guy like Jagmeet tries to impose force onto the situation, well, we have to get them water. We have to get them dental care. We have to do these things. And then there was a reporter that asked, how are you going to pay for all these things? And he's like, well, the same way we pay for everything else. Because we do pay for everything else.
Yeah.
Every time America goes to a proxy war, Canada's the allied nation that's on the backpack, right? Of the American war backpack.
Yeah.
Canada's, it's facts. Canada's flag is always there. France's flag is always there. UK's flag. All these motherfuckers are in the same backpack on America's back. So,
So
if we can pay for all those things, we can pay for fucking the things that keep people alive at the very least.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think the only people that this kind of angry brown person affects, I don't even want to call him angry because he's not
I don't
angry.
think that's even fair.
I think he's more forceful.
But that's the trope, though, right? And that's what works, right? Like angry black woman,
Yeah.
angry,
Yeah.
angry brown guy,
Yeah.
right? Like that's just the trope that works for everyone because it that's the only box that anyone can find that fits.
Who did you look to be inspired by when you were coming up? Who would have been your inspirations that kind of activated you to feel like fearless?
I was recently asked this, and I don't actually think that I have an answer because
Great.
I never seen myself in anyone. There wasn't anyone that I looked to and was like,
It's awesome.
I
Yeah.
can be like that,
That's
or
so
I
rational.
want to be like that, or obviously, I do belong to the Church of Beyonce, and I love her, and she's terrific. But I don't like see celebrities and like big names like in that way. That like there really wasn't anyone who I felt like I could look up to or identify with.
That moved you.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's true.
And
though.
even now, until this day, have you found any heroes from?
This is Queen Bee. I mean,
outside of that lens, like that you can identify with, as far as your actual ethnic origin, have you found any heroes that you look at and be like, I represent with that person now as an adult?
Again, good question. I will have to get back to you on that.
Wow.
but that's
But
fair though.
I
That's
think it like
huge.
motivates me because I'm also like I don't want like the next me to feel that way, right?
So
like
important.
I really want to like be the person that like I didn't have, and like my brother really wants that too, right? Like that's why we're doing what we're doing, because we wanted to put it out there and be like, hey, like we know that you're out there too, because we know that we're making something for people like us who don't have that example, who don't have like a male or female role model that they can identify with or talk to, or see themselves in.
Yeah.
And I am very, at this point, I'm very inspired by like my close circle, and I really have to like actively take the steps to, preserve my energy and protect it and ensure that my circle is like facilitates positivity. And so that's why I'm like really happy that like we've connected and that we've found the crew that we have, and we're gonna do amazing things, but like we're gonna be that for
You are
for,
the example.
for someone else,
the next.
right? I just don't think that we have that.
No, and that's a great thing not to have. it's great not to have idols and people you look up to. Like, I think it's great.
There's some truth in that for sure.
Well, because you can be overwhelmed by their philosophy, right? And then when they say something that you don't agree with,
sure, yeah.
all of a sudden now you start questioning your identity.
Are you conflicted, or do you now
You're
prescribe
conflicted.
to it?
Yeah, the hero worship can be a problem.
Because the one thing you got to realize when you're in a journey like Angelina is, can you call you Angelina?
Angelene.
Angelene.
Yeah.
Right. So, the journey she's on, her mind must be free from any sort of suggestion and persuasion. Right. When you truly find what your mission is in life, you have to walk it alone. Even with people, you still have to walk it alone in your own mindset, your own philosophy, your own ideas of where you're going, right? And that's why I don't listen to people either. I don't watch all that shit, the motivation and all the people and all that, even The Rock. I don't even listen to The
so
Rock.
corny sometimes. Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, you know what? And I think you just summed that up really well. Actually, you just perfectly articulated something that I was thinking, I guess, because I don't listen to nobody good at all. I just can't. I cannot be told anything. I have to make my own mistakes. I have to go through pain.
Pain.
I have
First thing
to.
in the morning, go outside.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Do it. You will.
And I have to, right? And I'm fortunate that while my mother is, from a very small village, and she is a brown mother, she is also a very strong personality, and she very much so understood that about me from a very young age. She'll still to this day try to tell me things sometimes, but she knows that I don't listen to anyone. If you don't want me to do something or want me to do something, don't say it. I will do the opposite. If you tell me not to do something, I'm going to go do it.
You're Sigma female. You know what that is?
No, what?
Oh, research it when you go home.
Okay.
SIGMA, Sigma female. It sums you right up. It's one of the strongest personality identifications that there can be. There's alpha. You ever heard of alpha?
Right, yeah.
The sigma is right below it, but it's the most powerful.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's probably me. I mean, I'm also I'm a good person, and
Sigmas are all good.
I'm a good
Alpha's
person, and I'm a nurturing person, and I'm nice and stuff.
You're real.
But yeah, I definitely try, because I think that I spent a lot of time not being real, and I think I spent a lot of time people pleasing, and that really involved not telling people the truth, not telling people
awesome.
it is,
and that's destructive to you, man, when you don't.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah,
but so constructive in the building of the personality and building of the person that you're becoming, to be able to understand selfishness and greed and all these other things that maybe you've experienced or done in your life, right? You see it now.
You don't feel like you need to be inspired?
No, I get inspired when I meet people like her, you know what I mean? I get inspired when I know that there are free thinkers out there and people who are really trying to push a narrative and make a difference in life. We are trying to do it through entertainment.
Yep.
And so is she. You're trying to do it through entertainment in a way as well, right? The podcasts and all that stuff. But you're a free thinker. That's what's inspiring, dude. All these jokes on TV, it's fake. It's all fake. You know what one guy told me? He was a YouTuber, motivational guy. Okay. He goes, you know what, Mike? You'd be really good at this. I'm like, oh, why? He goes, this is all you have to do. Copy what I do. He goes, the secret.
Yeah, that's gross.
The secret to all of this is you copy the guys that are successful. So all these guys that are coming up.
It's a blueprint or something.
It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint of fakeness.
So, okay, I get it. But I have a few individuals that have kind of shaped my thinking, and I think without their blueprint, me personally, I wouldn't know where the next step would be, right? There's a Indian politician that no one ever talks about, and his name is Dr. Bhumi Ambedkar, and he was kind of like a foe to Gandhi. He was one of the only politicians in India that represented the Dalit communities, and nobody represented the Dalit communities at all in India. And he was fierce and ferocious, and he kind of laid the groundwork for I mean, now they say they don't have a caste system in India. They obviously have a caste system in India.
Stop lying.
It's not spoken of as a thing that happens, but it's blatantly obvious that there's
of course.
a caste system. And Ambedkar was one of the first people that started to push it into legislation that this cannot be something you can use to discriminate against people. And this is in the fucking 40s. And just now they've openly said, we don't have a caste system. But it's one of the worst places in the world to live if you're a dark-skinned person, right?
So.
And for me, if those thinkers didn't lay those initial steps, then I don't think we would be able to be as fierce and ferocious as we are with our opinions here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they had the whole world stacked against them doing it, right?
And I think that's like true of every single movement. Like the work that we're doing today is like, we're not necessarily going to directly benefit from it. I mean, I think that things have been moving more rapidly, probably, like you said earlier, that like, the change is happening and coming. But like, the first wave of feminists in the 1920s, like set the groundwork for me to be able to do what I'm doing now. Right? Like
the flappers,
suffragettes, right? Like, like it's all like everything happens over time, over
what that's
very
called?
long periods of time.
Oh, no.
You know what that's called?
What?
Evolution.
We evolve.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so I can completely understand that like change doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit down.
Damn right.
Right. Like I really like, should I actually procreate one day? I want to leave, a better earth for like the next me who looks like me. And I want them to like continue this work. Right. Because I strongly, strongly, strongly believe that, I'm not I don't fit that ideal template or the mold of, every like brown daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am doing now what my mom would have done at my age.
Yeah.
If she could have.
Yeah.
And I know that.
You should be the mold.
Break
because
straight,
yeah, because
the mold.
The mold is subservience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you are the furthest thing from that thinking.
Yeah.
And it's crucial. And I see it, man. I have a daughter at home too, and she's fucking fierce. And she doesn't give a fuck. And I see it in her all the time. I see it in her interactions with people.
Yes.
I see how confident, how she carries herself. I'm like, yeah, she's a
That's
beast.
incredible. That makes me so happy to hear, because like when I was like 14 and, tried to say something, I was just told to be quiet, right? Or like, don't talk so loud, or don't talk about this. Or don't wear this or anything, right? And it's interesting how those older generations will then like prescribe to this standard, right? Like, white people make this standard, and then a few people will buy into it, and then try to like push it on, like we'll try to push it on each other, right? And it's like when I came home with like all my piercings, right? I like had my septum pierced, and then I got the other side of my nose pierced, and my mom was just like, ugh, okay, right? Came home with another tattoo, and she was like, I guess, right? Like, she doesn't love it, but like, she knows who I am. And she's like, all right. And my dad was straight up like, that doesn't look good. Like, why did you do that? He's like,
get out of the house.
Right? Because like this, like the first nose piercing I got was actually when I was like 9 years old. I asked. And
but it's so Indian though.
Yeah, because it was cultural, right? They were like, okay, cool, whatever. And then like I, started doing my own thing, and I like got my septum pierced, and like my dad was not having it, and my mom was straight up like, I don't know why you're getting mad at her. Like, our grandparents looked like that.
That's exactly what they did.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
So
like tribal Guitarmedias looks like this.
100%.
Right? And it's like they're so like brainwashed and prescribed to this way of thinking, right? Like we live in a world where we have to perform whiteness every day in order to get ahead. And like I am so tired.
It's exhausting.
Of it. It is, yeah.
So you just can't be yourself,
Yeah.
Like that must be the most tiring part. It's that you're not able to just let loose and just be.
It was. I feel definitely 100% more comfortable in my skin now, but there was like many years where I really didn't. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, I really gotta, I gotta straighten my hair every morning, and I have to look a certain way. I got to dress a certain way. I have to speak a certain way, everything.
Yeah.
You know, I have to like sit right. I can't be like gesticular with my movements. Like I can't do anything that's me because then I will fit into this other label or box that someone has made up for me. And then that's going to be it for me. Yeah. Right. And now I'm just like, this is it.
Yeah, that's the best way to be.
Yeah, this is it, and it's pretty great.
And your life.
And you know what? I have found that actually, like, I have a lot more success, if I can call it that, like being myself. Like, not only am I just like so happy,
it's the secret
all of the time, but the response that I garner from others is incredible. A lot of people who don't look like me, a lot of white people who like support me in everything that I do. Simply because I had the audacity to be myself. But I had to do that in order for them to come out for me.
That's great.
Right. And like, I've really learned that when you really are your most authentic self, like your people will come to you, right? We talked about this. Your people will find you.
But even more so, people will leave you the fuck alone.
Oh my God, yes. And you know what? That has been a blessing, let me tell you. Like, yes. And you know what? Like,
that's even
there's so many people
reward.
that I don't, you know, I could never see them again, and I would be so good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of like fuck me in the corporate world, but I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's all
I'm okay with it. And I understand
Come
it.
and
I understand it because I see the bigger picture, and I see where the bigger picture is going, right? But a few questions before we get out of here.
Just like the great and wise Arnold Drummond. You take the good, you take the bad.
God.
Right?
You leave the rest?
Yeah, take the
Arnold Drummond. Different strokes, right?
Different strokes. She's too young. She doesn't understand. She didn't.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you know Different Strokes.
No, she didn't know that one.
Oh, no.
She
Shit.
didn't. No, she's too young, buddy. She's too
Right.
young.
30.
What you
Right.
talking about,
It wouldn't have
Willis?
existed.
What you talking about, Willis?
You know the reference.
Yeah, I know.
The reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you were to suggest books that people should read to help them overcome their own biases, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah. So like a great place to start is So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. It's like it is not that big and it's like a really easy read, and it's super like layman's. Like it is not complicated. It's not hard. And it's super real, and it's
For everybody. Reading for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just white people.
Yeah,
Everybody.
it is. It really is. Like I got a lot of value out of it because it really articulated some of the things that I was feeling that like I didn't know how to put words to. Yeah. And yeah, it is really, you know, it's written from the lens of a Black woman, but it is, you know, for anyone who wants to learn how to talk about race. And that is like, to me, that's simple. Like that's like a simple concept, right? And so that's a terrific one. Another more challenging one for challenging because of the content is White Fragility.
Oof. Big one.
Yeah, because that's
Heavy.
just hard for some people to come to terms with, and that's fair because I have really like I'm an empath, and I have really had to. I haven't had to do anything. Let's be real, like right, because like people of color don't have to do anything, but you know, I had a coworker say to me in the last year. It was months ago at this point, at an old workplace, but they said like, you know, like I have only become aware of my privilege in the like since the murder of George Floyd. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. And so like I'm really coming to terms with this, and I'm trying and I'm learning, and like you know, and like they were really great at like having conversations with me, and they were open to it all, but I also just was like, hey, I need to be understanding about this too. Like how would I feel if like, you know, the rug was pulled out from under me one day, like in this completely other way, where then
very kind of you.
It is, and
it's human. It's so
you know,
human,
and
though.
you know, it's funny because like you remind me of my bro, because my bro's just like, you need to fucking stop doing that shit, and I was just
No,
I
think
it's
it's a beautiful characteristic. I'm just saying
it's total empath.
Yeah. I just don't. I just don't see the benefit of like me being like,
Sigma
well,
female.
Like, I'm just trying to.
You're not a you should know better.
No, it's right way to be though. Like the thing is that dude, the fight is not in these little things of correcting people all the time. You know what I mean? The fight is a little bit bigger than just individual battles that you make with people.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yes,
You know
thank
what I mean?
you. Yeah. So like the time that I put in to like, sit with a coworker, an old coworker for 45 minutes and explain the layers and layers in the racism of calling me the wrong name and the name of the only other ethnic person in the office, explaining that. Do I have to do that? No. But I do things like that because I can see the bigger picture. Right? And that's important to me. And also for me, like, accountability is love to me. Like there's some people who like, I won't put in the effort. Like I do have to pick my battles because it is extremely emotionally taxing. Totally. But like if you are someone who I have in my life and I value you in my life, I will have to have, I'm going to have to sit down with you and we're going to have to figure it out, and we're not going to be able to leave it to the side because I don't have the luxury of thinking about it later and forgetting about it, right? Like accountability is love to me, and if you're going to be in my life, then I'm going to hold you accountable because you're important to me. If you're not important to me, then I won't.
I think it's really important that you said that you don't have the luxury to forget about it. And I think people need to hear that a little.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every single time someone said to me, "Hey, can we just like put a pin in this? Can we talk about this later? I don't want to get into this right now." Yeah, no, I need to get into it right now because like what happens here is going to dictate what happens later, whether you're still in my life or not. This is, this is my life. This is really important to me. And like, there's two things that I don't fuck with. It's racism and misogyny. And if you have an inkling of any of those in your blood and your bones, then it's the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I feel like you would unleash a hell that nobody has ever felt before in their life. Like I feel like you have that ability.
You know what? I think I do.
Yeah, I feel like you have like because you come up very nice and you're very like
you've been smiling the entire time.
The entire time.
Yeah.
But inside, I feel like there is a battalion, right, that will be unleashed into the world with fire and cannons blazing. That if something ever happened, that really.
And just if it does happen.
Yeah, so let them know.
If it does
it will happen. So don't fuck around.
We got your back if it does happen.
And I, you know what?
Ready to pop off.
It feels good to say. It feels good to hear that, and it feels good to have the confidence in knowing that I do.
Yeah.
Because that's also not really been a thing, right? No one's like backed me up when I've stood up for something.
Man,
and like,
I will back you up any day. I fucking love you. I think you're amazing. I'm so glad that you came on the show. I know I'm a little off, but that's all good. I'm like the undercover brother, man. You send me in to like with the vest on.
Assassin.
Yeah. Right.
Oh no, I know. I know what I have here. But we've been really deep the whole time.
Yes.
So we're gonna end it a little lighter.
Sure.
Surface.
You're obviously a fan of music, rocking the Aaliyah shirt.
Yeah.
When you die, you go to your afterlife, whatever that is for you, you can take 3 artists' whole catalog with you when you go. Only 3 artists, but you get their whole catalog. What 3 artists would you choose?
Okay. Beyonce, because that's
of course I knew that was coming
because it's everything. It's there's so much diversity. It's everything.
much.
Everything you want, anything you want, it's there.
Oh, wait a minute. Worst Beyonce song. Come on, just pick the one that when you hear it, you go, oh.
I know. Okay, like.
Is it Single Ladies?
No, I mean that could be there.
That song is popping, yo.
That's
but the song where you go, I love B, but
like that Sweet Dream song.
Oh, terrible!
Beautiful nightmare.
Yeah.
Good choice.
This song is a beautiful nightmare. Oh my god,
it's a terrible
Great
song.
choice. I used to play the remix for that one. There's a really good remix for it. But
Thank God we're not big enough. We're not big
I
enough.
doubt it.
We're not big enough for the Bayhive to cancel us, so we're good. But that's
we're good.
Yeah, no, that song is just, not good.
Yeah,
but yeah, obviously Beyonce. And I really love, like, as for like big names, she's the one. But like, somebody like Ella May.
Damn.
LMA,
Okay.
I love her.
She's dope.
I love her.
That's a first.
So
That's a first. What's her
yeah,
catalog like?
she's just different.
What's her catalog like?
It's still R&B.
Yeah.
But her voice is just
Yeah.
So
something
remarkable.
else. Something
And
else.
she's just like, everything about her is just very understated to me, and just her style and everything. Yeah.
Very unique.
Love it. Yeah. Also someone who I feel like right out of the gates has the audacity to like be themselves.
Yeah.
And I
Big.
think that's pretty incredible. And honestly, like Kehlani,
Oh wow!
I just love her.
Fucking love.
love
Kalani. Oh my
her.
goodness.
But here's
And
the,
she's so fly too.
She's just
Everything
yeah.
she does is so fly. She looks
Exactly.
fly. The
Yeah.
music is fly. She's got it
Yeah.
locked.
Yeah.
you have no like Tupac or
Yeah.
Biggie. Like what happened?
You don't need any
Because-
men in your catalog.
Well, no, because they will always have the stage no matter what, always. So like, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean for you personally.
Everyone
Oh yeah,
says
no,
Biggie and
but that's what I
Tupac
mean.
and
Like
Michael
they'll
Jackson.
like
You don't need a
know,
male voice
they
in your
will-
catalog.
They will be there for everybody else,
Yeah.
and that's okay. They can be there for
You can
everybody
play it on
else because
another
I'm
cloud. You
good.
can play it.
But yeah, there. I mean, I don't think that like. I feel like there is like a Biggie song or a Pac song for like every emotion or every
Yeah.
right. Like there's like every day or even like Cube, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and
So true.
I really love to like just like chill and listen to that music. But I also really, really love to like dance around in my room and sing while
Yeah,
I'm
facts.
doing stuff, and
Yeah.
like that's
Do you know
the kind of
that
stuff that I do that too.
do you know that used to be my relationship with R?
Oh no.
And that left years ago, obviously, but that's how it was for me growing up. Was R,
R. Kelly.
right? I don't even say his last name, piece of crap, right? But R, right? I'm looking at her shirt and everything.
So
It's just,
sad.
it's really, what the sad part about that is that was the biggest part of my growing up was listening to fucking R. from
That's
the
really
very
like
beginning.
12 play?
And you know what? Like
Ugh.
you didn't know, so
No.
like
No,
You
we
didn't know.
knew.
We knew it.
We knew shit was.
Yes.
We knew something was
We
fucked
everybody
up.
knew it was.
We didn't
Everyone's
clue
just
in
like,
with
what the
Aaliyah.
fuck?
Because there was the P tape,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And-
well, that I mean,
And
Yeah,
obviously
right?
Aaliyah being underage.
yeah.
But it's the times. The times didn't dictate for us to get mad. Yeah. It was the
Yeah.
time of life
Yeah.
where we didn't appreciate
And the
women
music
and we
is
didn't
so
treat them well.
good.
But that's what
Music is
so
so
fucked up
fucking
ab-
good.
That's what's so fucked up about it is like I
Makes me so
can't
mad.
anymore. Like I can't
Oh no,
anymore.
he's removed from every
Can't.
playlist.
Well, the thing
I
is
just
that like
can't.
everything, like you listen to the like
They
even
all
like
have
Aaliyah, like
different
Age Ain't
meanings
Nothing But a
now.
Number. I'm
Yeah.
just like I can never listen to the song ever. Again.
Ever.
Yeah,
sad.
everything.
Even Choosy Lover is a
like-
little creepy because Kelly wrote that too, or parts of it. But I got to meet her once.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What?
Dude, this
When
is
she was
breaking.
when she was making Romeo Must Die here.
Oh wow.
Oh my
Crazy.
god.
Forgot
her
about
brother-
that.
Even that was like when I think about that now, I'm just like, holy shit! Like she was making moves at such a young age. Like
I thought she was. I thought
Nobody
she was
else
everything.
She would have been
Ever.
Beyonce before Beyonce.
Honestly?
seriously, yeah.
To me, she was like the greatest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And then meeting her and having a good experience, like having her be nice, I was like, oh my god, she's fucking everything, just perfect.
Yeah.
And then she had the vampire movie come out, and I'm obsessed with vampires. I'm like, oh man, she's the greatest thing ever.
Amazing.
Way too cool.
And then it
Amazing,
all
man.
ended.
Like too cool for this world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, way ahead of her
Yeah.
time. Way ahead of her
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
But with that said, you don't have any dirt on her. You get to enjoy her for the love and the greatness that
Yeah.
she was, because there's no dirt on her.
Dude, I don't know if you're a fan of Dame Dash, but when you hear what Dame Dash says about their situation, it's fucked up, man. So like R. Kelly raped Aaliyah, and she had to go through that and be in the public eye of being his
So strong, man.
artist or whatever the fuck that situation was. So
And
yeah,
being
dude, she
trapped in a
went through
world
some
that didn't give a
shit.
shit at the time.
Yeah,
because
fucked.
they back in those days, you see the adults smack a girl's ass. Hey, sweetheart. And girls are like, you know, it was
even a
you
big
have to
deal.
take it. It was brutal in the 90s. The 90s were the worst time, man. I know women have had a fight the entire, time, these last 100 years.
I think the 80s may have been a little worse.
90s were worse, dude.
Yeah.
So?
90s were worse because 80s were more about like there was a drug era in the 80s, so nobody really paid attention to what was going on. And
epidemic
you know,
of drugs.
and men, there were a lot of men that were subjected in the 80s as well because a lot of guys were gay, right? And they were faking
Couldn't come
gay,
out, yeah.
right? And so they were being used tons, man, right? So, but the 90s were the worst, dude, because it was literally if you think about it, like women finally got that chance to have a say in the 90s. Like,
and misogyny was like hella celebrated in the 90s. I hate saying it. It really was. Like misogyny was hella celebrated.
Yeah,
like
dude.
all my favorite hip hop artists had songs that
horrible.
are horrible to listen to.
My
But
God,
90s were the first time when women got to stand up and actually have a say. Like actually had a say, man. That was kind of after the Clarence Thomas, I think. Remember that time, like the Clarence Thomas thing, and then it started really kind of you started paying attention to women and their rights, and then Bill Clinton passed the sexual harassment thing in 1996, and then it started happening.
Oh, pretty good memory,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yeah. You know what? I'll just say that the modern day equivalent, or I guess the evolution of the ass slap is like when dudes put their hand on the small of no, like just on the small of the back, like when they just like
they have to make space,
and they have to make space. They put their hand on the small of a woman's back, like just
that's a creepy.
I'm like, why? I'm like, yo, I don't know you like that. Like, why are you doing
touching a stranger?
Dude, if you're one of my friends and I see you do that shit, I will publicly humiliate you.
Yes.
For that shit.
Oh yeah.
Super weird.
Oh my God.
Super weird to feel entitled to like someone's body.
Oh yeah, it's like weird to touch someone. Or in a club where they grab your hand and shit. It's just like,
you know what? Like everyone, like, I mean, COVID has been hard for everyone, and that's fair. And I don't want to invalidate that, but like, I just have to say that like I didn't have to change anything, and COVID's been great for me because like I don't really like, like the family gatherings or whatever, and like you apparently have to go around and hug everyone. Every time you see someone, you have to hug them, hello and goodbye, and I'm like, I don't want to, I don't need to.
Yeah.
Everyone get a wave.
Peace.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Bye. Yeah. Right? I can leave so fast because I don't have to hug everyone and get into some sort of conversation.
Irish goodbye. Always.
Irish goodbye.
Okay.
I've used that since.
Always.
Since I learned about it from you, I've used it.
It is the.
You just leave?
Brilliant. Just leave.
Yeah.
Don't even say goodbye. Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Bounce.
I didn't know it existed. He told me about it. I'm like, I'm gonna use
that. 100%. Yeah.
And you get known for it, and then all of a sudden people just don't even realize you're gone. It's like, you assholes, you didn't even know I was here. Okay, here I'll ask you my question. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. Like, I was really, I was excited to hear that I was having, that you were coming on here. And I lied, I did look at everything, right? And right? But I was really excited because, it's important that people get to know people like you. Right, and right, it is because you are totally the example of how people need to be. I don't mean men, women. I mean people. You know what I mean? Like learning from your mistakes. Coming up with a game plan and staying true to yourself. You know what I mean? And wanting to change the world. I appreciate
you. That really means a lot.
No, I do appreciate it. And keep going, and just know you have us here. You want any trickery? Anything happening? We're gonna start doing some trickery stuff, and hope in the future we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll put in some more.
Come in, create some good chaos with you.
Yeah, it'd be dope.
Good chaos. I love that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So here's my question: What happens when you die? What happens? So you die. What happens? What do you believe?
You go to your version of utopia. Unless you suck, unless you're a fucking Trump, then you just go into emptiness.
Do you think the brain has that? Okay, so then do you physically go there, like spiritually or whatever, just something go there? Does the brain just kind of take you there? Is there a part in the brain that clicks, like like the magic pill you'd eat, and the acid gets in you? Right? You know what I mean? Is it like that? Like DMT, what DMT does? Or is there a spiritual place do you go to, or what do you think? Like, what have you always believed?
That's a really good and profound question.
Because you've thought about it before.
Yeah, and like I'm Hindu, and like we're like
Reincarnation.
raised for right. So you get live a good life, so you don't turn into a bug and get smushed. But then I guess you would just die and go into the next thing. So
Facts.
right. But I think that we have an energy, right? And I think that it makes sense that when we die, that energy goes somewhere. And I don't think that I will get to reap all of the benefits of all of the work that I'm putting in necessarily. But I have plenty of peace knowing that future generations will. And I am going to like go to my perfect utopia where I just get to relax knowing that I left the world a better place and that I tried every day.
Good for you.
And I'm just going to chill.
Very good answer.
Yeah. It's really a secret. Like, the secret is do your very best. You have a life. Do your very best. Make people happy. Make yourself happy. And that's it. It's your only responsibility. You're not really here to change the world. Very select people actually change the world. In history, you go through time, man. There's not a lot of people.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people waste their lives.
Facts.
Right?
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You go out there and don't waste your life.
Well, you kind of follow the POC ethos, right? You may not change the world, but you spark as many brains as you can before you leave.
Yeah.
Right?
So
yeah.
that they
Impacts
can
can be great or small.
Big time.
That's it.
Yeah.
And legacies aren't so great anymore. Like back in the day, like you mentioned
haven't
Gandhi,
been.
there wasn't much happening, so his legacy was amazing.
Right.
But now there's so much happening. Your legacy doesn't have to be this great big thing. You can do this little thing, right? And really make an impact on the world, right? But most people don't even try that little thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't even bother trying. They're just like, fuck it.
And
Let's
here
go
we are
watch
with our egos, with the audacity to think that we're going to change the world.
Yeah. And all you got to do is just try and do
But
something.
we already have. Like, look, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
We've
here.
changed the world.
You're
It's that.
here. We're like engaging in really, really important conversation and discourse.
Yep.
Yep.
And like we have the like purest of intentions and great plans.
Yeah.
And like we're gonna make shit happen because we have ambition.
Yep.
Damn
So
right.
we've already made change.
Amazing. And we're going to make more change.
I love it. And I love the way you represent yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I'm very
actually.
thankful that you're here and that we got to
Yeah.
meet. And
You
create
raised
this
yourself well.
relationship. I think it's dope.
Yes, she has. She is amazing. She's made a great person.
And please make sure you check out the No Ties podcast as well. We'll make sure we put up all the links and so you have all the information. It's Elite. It's no longer ACDJ.
No more. It's over.
It's Mike Oulton. We'll give him a cool nickname. We'll find a cool nickname.
Yeah.
It's not going to be...
It's not going to be ACDJ, man.
What's the other one?
Teen Idol?
Yeah, it's not going to be Teen Idol.
No.
It cannot be that.
yeah,
it's not
that's
gonna
a
be
bad one.
No, but we'll find
some
a good
Arsha
one.
right there,
We'll find a
actually.
good one.
Yeah.
It's Angelene in the place.
Angelene.
High phrase, y'all. Peace.